So it was an incredibly difficult time in my life. I didn't realise it was a homophobic slur for a start. That's a fucking hard question. Redmen TV aren't selling their souls. Back yourself, no one else is going to.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel, episode 2 of The Process. And I kind of have a list in my mind, but it'd be good to know what you guys think in terms of people that you would maybe like me to speak to on this series. But Chris, you were always someone that I wanted to chat to, you or Paul, but I thought it might be quite interesting to chat to you, just because I think with Paul, and we'll talk about your kind of, I guess, double act and the Redmen TV. It is a double act though, isn't it?
Okay.
Would you consider it a double act?
Yes, I suppose so.
It kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like that.
But knowing you as well as I do, I know that this wasn't, unlike Paul loved making videos. He is a natural front man. It's what he kind of, I think it's what he's always kind of wanted to do, to have that kind of opportunity to be in front of camera and to talk to people and do those things. But for you, it's been slightly different. It wasn't something that you expected to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, I think honest conversation is almost where you're always comfortable in that space. And I think we're always comfortable in that space when we have a chat. So the way I wanted to do this, I think I wanted to talk about, in particular, decisions. Now, to kind of give the context of this, I want to say that we are currently in the Redmen studio. This is your place of work where you talk about Liverpool every day, right? This is on the back of a week where Paul he's just got back after being in America for 8 days a week, where he's now essentially become best mates with Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, I'm
manager of Liverpool.
I'm a little bit unhappy about that.
You're upset about, so yeah, we'll go past that.
No, I can't get past that.
Wait, I can edit it out.
So he put a photo up on his Facebook of him and Klopp, and his mum comments besties.
Fuming.
Absolutely, I had to comment. I had to comment on it. I was just like, cough, cough.
Yeah, fuming.
She didn't even reply.
I'm sure.
I've been there through thick and thin. What's Klopp done for him? Hasn't even won him a trophy yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been here all the time.
And you're on how many subscribers at the moment?
280 maybe, something like that.
280, and
we've got a few thousand on our website, like, so it's pretty mental, like.
So yeah, so life's good, life's solid at the moment, and a happy family as well.
Absolutely, and I think that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. So to give all that context, now I want to go right back to the start. So if people who don't know about the Redmen TV, the Redmen TV is the first fan channel. And having worked at Bull Street for a couple of years, obviously Chris and Paul are part of Bull Street as well. And so I've got to know you and your story. And what I find really interesting is the decisions. And what I want with this whole series is to talk to people honestly about the fact that we don't know what's going to happen in life. We have no fucking clue. But we just, at different times, you've got to try and make the best decision with the information you've got. But I also think you've got to have principles and beliefs, and you've got to stick with them as well. So starting off a fan channel, starting off making videos, and it was in your living room, wasn't it, or Paul's
living room, yeah.
What was the decision behind that? Why did you even start this?
It wasn't anything to do with me. First and foremost, it was to do with Paul and another friend of ours who used to do Redmen TV with us, Aubrey. And they were having a conversation. Now, Aubrey's a bit of a director, and in fact, he moved down to London to be a director. And he's doing incredibly well, and he's a proper visionary. Like, you know, when you can tell when he's put his print on something, like, and Paul was exactly the same. Paul actually didn't want to be in front of camera either. Paul wanted to start to be a director, and it kind of turned out that he fell in love with sort of presenting and all that, because he never had enough mates to get to do the stuff that he wanted, so he'd end up starring in the stuff himself. And then I think he kind of just sort of fell in love with that. But they were having a conversation in the pub, as you do in Liverpool, about, you know, YouTube and something that could be made for Liverpool fans. And Paul's original idea was always to use me, because we've been best mates for years and years. He thought people might like me. And so we just started making videos.
Your decision to be a part of this thing with Paul, did it not feel like a big decision at the time? It was just like, well, I know Liverpool, I can talk about it, let's go.
Yeah, I think that's all it was, really. You know, as I say, we were having these conversations in the pub anyway. Now, if you go back and watch the first Redmen videos, they're atrocious, absolutely terrible, because we're really, really shit at what we did. I think we've improved, and there's still room for us to improve even more. But it was sort of scripted, so Paul had scripted every show. I've got a terrible memory, so I could never remember the lines, and they were like one-liners.
Right.
And it was fucking atrocious.
South African captain Adam Mokoena wishes he'd gone for the wee before he left.
4 o'clock on the 11th of June 2010. I'm going to try to stay as calm as possible.
Fears grow that Jonathan Pearce has been replaced by a robot.
So for all their astute and precise passing, Spain still calm.
I'm Barry Lockins. And I'm Habib Islam. And that was the World Cup 2010 update.
Like, embarrassingly bad. And for some reason, some people seem to like it. And we've made some proper bad decisions along the way. You know, we'd been on YouTube for about a year. I think we had just under 5,000 subscribers. And we decided that we were going to make a fist of this and make it a full-time thing. So we built the website. I took a personal loan out. We got the website.
So, sorry, I didn't know that. You did that with just 5,000 subscribers?
Yeah.
Why?
Because we had this dream where we thought, well, 5,000 people will pay £2 a month, James. Why wouldn't they? Forgetting that people go to YouTube.
To get this.
Forgetting that people go to YouTube for free content and not to subscribe to stuff.
Yeah.
And this is a YouTube that's vastly different to now as well.
Yeah.
This is a YouTube where nobody's talking about football. Really, nobody's talking about sports in quite the same way. It was just cat videos when we started.
Smith said the exact same thing. He said the exact same thing. It was just a place to not think.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, people would zone out. And that's the great thing about YouTube. It's different for every person. You know, my YouTube will be completely different to what you use YouTube for. Like, I'm a 35-year-old fella, so my YouTube is still how-to videos. Like, and I'll Google and on YouTube how to use a Windows PC or something ridiculous like that, because I've been on a Mac for a few years.
Right.
And yet, you speak to the younger generation and everything is done on YouTube. You know, I like to get into whatever I'm watching. You know, films are still where I'm at. Tom fast forwards films. Like, I don't know how anybody could fast forward a film, but that's what younger people seem to do. Certainly Tom does anyway. I won't speak for all of them.
And just picking up on what you said there in terms of you like to dive into things, that's essentially what Redmen does as well, is that, because I've always thought, how are they able to keep finding little alleyways to talk about and discuss? But you always seem to do it quite easily. And also when we talk about stats and things like that, like you really love diving into that as well.
Yeah, I've always been a numbers guy. Like, I enjoyed maths at school. There's a lot of people out there who love the story of football and the narratives and stuff, but I like to combine the two and see if you can gain any interest, gain any understanding from combining the two together. Now, I'm not all about stats. I don't think that's the be all and end all, because there is a human side to football, and that's what makes it so interesting. You know, we've got a manager in Jurgen Klopp who is very much a humanist, who cares about how the players in his squad feel, who builds up that team harmony, but equally he's such an analytical guy, and there's people at the football club who will be looking at stats, whether they look at the same stats as us. That's the question, and that's what I'd love to ask them.
I think you and Paul as well, in terms of your top line principles of what you want your fan channel to be and what you want Liverpool fans to be, I think that's also very humanist. You've been very passionate about the fact that, like, if you go into the game, play your part. That's always been a big part. So it really is the two. You're not just a numbers guy.
This is when I was growing up. My family weren't rich. You know, we didn't have a lot of money. My dad lost his business. He wasn't able to take us to the games as much as he'd want. So for me to get to a position in my life where I can get to the games, where it's not only can I afford it, but, you know, I'm doing it as part of my job as well, and I've combined the passion with what I actually do to put food on the table. I appreciate just how important it is to just get in the ground and be able to support that team. Now, maybe if I was taken every week and I wanted to be doing swimming or I wanted to be riding my bike, I'd have a completely different feeling towards it. You know, I feel there's a lot of entitlement from football fans.
I agree.
I feel like when you watch, you know, some people talk about football, it's like, well, I've spent this. I'm sorry, you don't spend your money to watch a team win. You spend your money for the opportunity to support them and hope that they win.
Totally agree.
I take that and sing throughout. Like, you know, Kiev, we've just been to a heartbreaking loss in the Champions League final, but me and Paul and the lad next to me just didn't stop singing, because we're not there to whinge and moan and discuss it during the game. We're there to support the team, and afterwards, dissect it all you want, but when you're at the game, you're there for one reason only.
And by doing that, you're part of it.
Absolutely.
Because if you're not, then you're not. That's obvious. And I agree. I think the entitlement is. I think you're missing out on ramping up the enjoyment by being entitled, by going, what are you doing for me? Because it's just, you're not part of it then, are you?
No, you're not. And I think that's something that I certainly get with Liverpool and Liverpool's fans, is we are part of a big family. And I'm sure every football supporter will feel exactly the same with their club, but I can only speak for Liverpool fans, you know. And you can look around in the stadium or the cities where you get to play, and some of the cities that we've been to is just balmy. Even in the last year, you know, we've been to Porto, we've been to Rome, we've been to Kiev. Like, without following football, I probably wouldn't have gone to Porto. I probably wouldn't have gone to Kiev. I wouldn't have been able to experience their cultures, meet people over there, and see Liverpool fans from all different types of backgrounds in these places. It's not just lads from Liverpool, or it's not even just lads. You know, it's people from all over the world who all have one thing in common, and that is this love for this football club and love for football and love for supporting your team. And, you know, we were lucky enough to be on stage in Kiev before the final. There was probably 5,000 to 10,000 people there singing along with us, and that's just so weird. I'm a naturally, and people probably don't believe this, I naturally don't like that. I hate it, in fact. You know, I hate being spotted in the street. And it's bizarre, because the people who come up to me know me, and it's not like they've seen me on Redmen TV. They actually know me, because when I talk to the camera, I say stuff that I probably wouldn't say in a normal conversation to them.
But I think that's something that I kind of want. That's a really interesting point, because I think also people are complex. You can be like my wife's just realised in the last year, we've been together 7 years, she realised in the last year that I get quite shy in a lot of situations. And that doesn't make any sense to her, because I have these ambitions of being a presenter. I want to do all those things. And when the camera's on, I feel fine. I feel comfortable. But in other situations, I feel really awkward. But that's a big thing for blokes. I think sometimes you're supposed to be this alpha male, or you're supposed to be one or the other. Everyone's very complex. And I think for you, I mean, we've chatted about it before as well, is stepping into this, sometimes you have to just go for it. And I think you said before that is it, I don't know if it's an anxiety or a shyness or whatever to be in front of camera, because it wasn't something that was in your mind. Once you have then had to step into it, for you it's not okay, let me just sort of dip my toe into it. You just go for it.
Yeah, I think I don't like talking about myself in this regard, but I do feel like that is the type of person that I am. If I go for something, I go as hard as I possibly can. It's go big or go home, essentially. And
do you feel comfortable doing that? And why do you feel comfortable doing that? Because
regardless of whether people like it or not, I think people respect people who put their all into stuff. And I think I'm not doing it for the respect of anybody else. I'm doing it because that's my upbringing.
Yeah.
You know, if again, it comes down to my mum and dad. Like, if I went for something, they'd tell me to give my all. And, you know, that's an upbringing thing. So whether it's standing on stage in front of a load of people, whether you're scared or not, go for it. Whether you're outside Anfield talking to a camera with people behind it, go for it.
Yeah.
Whether you're playing five-a-side, just go for it. Give it your all, and people will understand that you've tried your best. And there's no fears that you haven't. There's no regret if you try your best in everything that you do, is there? You know, it's all right to come up short in things. Listen, I'm a 35-year-old fat dad. But when I go onto the football field against 17, 18, 19-year-olds, I'll give me all. Because I'm only letting
it. And for Charlie to now run onto, but Chris from the Redmen TV does come and cut it across. Thrown back in, thrown into the box for Theo's head, but once again, Chris is there.
5,000 subscribers. Yeah. Decide to go full time. That is going for it. So
we
go
didn't
back to the start.
then, thankfully.
Oh, you didn't go full. Okay,
No,
but
no,
the
no.
aim was obviously was that.
Yeah, I think, people were enjoying our videos. We were still absolutely atrocious at what we were doing. We thought, 5,000 people will subscribe for £2 a month, and the starry-eyed youngsters that we were thought that's £10,000 a month. That we can stop working in the restaurants. It'll be dead easy.
Yeah.
So we went for it. So I took out personal loan. We bought a PC. We got a website built. It was a tough ask of the missus.
Yeah.
We weren't married at the time, but I think we'd just bought our first house.
Right.
And so to have that conversation with her, I think she thought we were a bit mental, but fair play to her, she didn't stand in the way, and it wasn't really a difficult conversation.
When was there a moment where you thought, oh, we fucked up here? Or when was there a moment you're like, we're all right here?
Okay, so the website launched, I think it was September 2011. It was probably October 2011 when I thought we'd fucked it up big time. We had about 200 people subscribe, and we had all the costs still associated. So I don't even think we probably had 200 people subscribed, and it was taking a lot of time because Paul went part-time in work. He used to work for me in the restaurants.
Yeah.
What we'd done was, the idea was to then put Paul on part-time and use the money that we were getting from the website to fund his life.
Yes.
So that he can go part-time. But then back then we didn't have like vision mixes or anything like that. So edits of hour-long shows recorded on tape, by the way, not SD cards, would take days.
Wow.
He'd be doing the subscriber shows for pretty much 36 hours straight to get a show out.
And he'd get how many views? Not enough.
The 200 people were signed up. Maybe 100 might have watched it.
And so was there a moment you go, or were you set in your ways that you were like, no, we're going for this and we're going to stick with it?
Yeah, I think we were.
How long do you think you would have stuck with it if it just tanked?
I don't know, because...
Were you, deep down, did you ever always think, that would be all right?
No, probably not, no. I think
that's interesting as well. That's fucking brave.
Yeah, but we were enjoying what we were doing. And I suppose if you weren't enjoying what you were doing, we didn't start it to make money out of it. That become a byproduct. Now, there was a point in 2011, earlier on in the year, when we decided to, go all in on it, that we'd realised there's a potential for something better here in our lives. There's a potential for not working in restaurants for the rest of our lives. There's a potential for actually having some kind of quality of life here. And that's what we'd bought into more than we wanted to make money out of what we were doing. Yeah. And so, when I went full-time in 2014, Paul went full-time in 2013, I took a £20,000 pay cut.
Wow.
So that will tell you that it's not all about money.
20 grand?
Pay cut, yeah. I was earning decent money.
Yeah.
But it wasn't about that, but I wasn't enjoying my job.
Yeah.
I'd get up in the morning and I'd drive. I'd fucking hate the idea of getting into work.
Did it get worse, the idea of going into work, because you'd started to see what this could be?
Not really, no. The restaurant that I was the area manager of, I enjoyed working there for a long time, but I always wanted more. It got to a position where I felt that I was quite good at my job. The manager, the owner, thought I was good at my job and changed my working hours. So I was really lucky to have an owner of a restaurant or 3 restaurants that believed in me so much that he changed what he'd done for 30 years. So general managers and area managers would work the busy shifts, the Saturday night, the Friday night, the Sunday mornings and all the evenings. And I went 9 to 5 for him, because I'd said to him at the time and he bought into this, I can make us more money by being able to focus on the business rather than focus on running shifts. Is there a point there that you've just got to start something? Sometimes you've got to just step forward. Yeah, I think so. And as I say, it's not about them. It was never about the money. It was about making sure that we could enjoy our lives. And, I come in here every single morning and I'm bouncing through the door. I'm not thinking to myself, oh, what the fuck am I going to walk into today? It's, what are we going to do today? Oh, we're going to talk about Liverpool. Well, brilliant, because that's what we'd be doing anyway. Yeah. How many years have you been in here? 3.5. 3.5. What was that like when you're going, you've got
our own. I'll cut in some shots of the studio, and it's just such an amazing man cave. It's so, but like it is, isn't it? It's like, because I've always thought that in my working life, that like I've never done a marketing job or a, you know, I worked for the council for like, I temped at the council when I was younger, but like not those proper office jobs. And I do, even not knowing what that is like long term, I do always still walk into work and think, Jesus Christ, I'm stealing a living here a little bit. Like it's so cool, isn't it?
It's boss. It's like you hear those stories of like Google's office and all these major companies that have amazing offices and stuff like that, and you walk into ours and yes, we don't have a big fucking slide, but we've got every console known to man and every computer
actually
game
do. Really
that
do.
has ever existed about football, pretty much. We've got a pool table, we've got a table tennis table. We don't play on any of this stuff, but it's cool just to have it near us.
Yeah, it looks cool when people come round.
Yeah.
So full time doing the Redmen TV. There's been amazing moments, there's been heartbreaking moments, and there's been some mistakes along the way. And the sort of big one for you was the first time you kind of, I hate using the phrase, but it went viral, didn't it?
Yeah.
Was Liverpool looked like they were possibly going to win the league, and there was a game against Chelsea, and there was an incident where you afterwards were, and we were talking about, you know, saying you like your numbers, but really you're all heart. You showed that in a fan cam. Can you kind of explain what happened and what went through your mind after it all happened?
So I think the first thing that probably I need to say is the videos from outside the game are so much different to when you've had 24 hours to think about stuff, and that's why I don't really enjoy the fan cam side of stuff, and it's probably down to this experience of the Chelsea game and the Rent Boys stuff and all that. Is because emotions run ridiculously high at a football match. I think anybody who goes to the football will understand that sometimes they're not quite the same person.
Yeah, I got stung with it like a couple of weeks ago, didn't I?
Yeah, of course you did.
It's so true.
But that's not you after 24 hours. That's you after 90 minutes of pure hell and stress. Because that's what we put ourselves through. We put ourselves through the ringer because it's like our entire life. That's the one thing about football. You forget everything else in your life for 90 minutes.
And it's desire and it's yearning and it's excruciating, but it could be so great. And then it's not so great, and it's so many emotions, isn't it?
And it's sometimes it's difficult to verbalise properly what you want to say, but I think, to be fair, listen, I used the wrong words, but I did verbalise how I was feeling. I was telling the truth at the time. Now, Steven Gerrard slipped, Liverpool lose the league title. You know, there's a 90-minute stress, but there's also stress of 27 years or whatever it was back then. So, you know, compiled stress as well, and, you know, all the fucking shite banter that people give you. And as much as I don't take any of it,
do you think as well that it was, to a point, that's when fan channels were starting to really kick off, and with that came this, we were talking about entitlement earlier, there is this new wave of, and I can feel it now the World Cup's gone and we're going back into like the Premier League season, this sort of Twitter banter culture, it's shite, yeah.
It's shite.
And so,
it's if you're faceless people giving shit to fucking fans who give a shit.
But if you're in the early days of that, you're not 3 years down the line. Do you know what I mean? Now you go, I know it's coming. You know, you're not going to react to it. It's like banter with your mates. Once you know the joke's coming, then you can kind of be ready to stop. But then it was still quite fresh, wasn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely was. And listen, Arsenal Fan TV had probably been around a year, maybe two at this point, but they weren't the Arsenal Fan TV that everybody knows now. It was probably still more focused around Claude and Ty, even more than like your Troops and your DT. So, you know, everything has evolved since then, and the industry sprung up. Remember, this wasn't an industry 4 years ago. Now, I said some words, and again, it was the Chelsea Rent Boy rant, and the thing about it is, the worst part of it is that it was taken as a 7-second clip and put on Vine. They're all mate. Every one of them Chelsea are. And if you watch the entire video, and I'll give you the footage if you want to put it on there, you will see that I'm not talking about Chelsea fans. And that's the difference, and that's what people have taken of me, is that I think all Chelsea fans are rent boys, and that's not the case. If you watch more than 7 seconds, I'd bookend it. I think my words, the word that ends that vine is Mourinho, and I say from Mourinho down to Torres, talking about the manager and all the players who play on that pitch.
The word is deflated, I think.
It is deflated. They're all mate. Every one of them Chelsea are Mourinho down to Torres. Absolute it's just ball. He just came to park the bus. Unfortunately, he's a great manager. And Demba Ba was superb. He had a great game. Skirtle and Sacco didn't get near him.
And what I was trying to get across is they're all there for the money.
Yeah.
They're all there and they'll be gone and they'll go somewhere else for the money. And that to me was Chelsea Football Club at that time. You know, you see players going there and you think, why have they gone there? Well, it's literally just Abramovich's money. And that's what I was trying to get across. Now, the words that I used, I didn't realise were difficult for people to hear. I didn't realise it was a homophobic slur for a start. Everybody makes mistakes. You know, within 24 hours, the video was pulled down. We'd had that pulled down because someone at Liverpool Football Club had reached out to us because Kick It Out campaign, you know, famously do the racism. We look at kicking out racism in football. They do more than just racism. Now, they'd been onto Liverpool Football Club and someone inside Liverpool reached out to us and was like, they want a word. So I typed this fucking long email to Kick It Out, apologising, explaining that we took the video down, saying that I didn't know it was a homophobic slur. And people will believe me or they won't believe me. I didn't think it was a homophobic slur. But, you know, since I have. We had LGBT supporters groups of Liverpool getting in touch with us, guys that I'd interviewed in the past. And again,
and they were angry, or?
Yeah, they were really angry because they didn't feel like it was just something aimed at Chelsea. They felt it's a homophobic slur, right. And they felt bad about what I'd said and that I shouldn't be talking like that. And I fully agree with everything that he'd said on that. So it was an incredibly difficult time in my life because it went viral. We took the video down. We didn't want the views from it. No. You know, and I think if you speak to Paul, it was probably his biggest mistake as well. It's certainly mine, because ultimately Paul edited that video and he thought to himself, should I take that start out? And he never. And so I think he feels really guilty for it because, you know, I got death threats on fucking social media. Every time Chelsea come to town, it's still rolled out. Listen, people can make the videos out of it, and you've seen the vines of me dancing and all the different things. But it's not something that I'm proud of. I've never been proud of it, and still a section even of Liverpool fans think it's the greatest thing that they've ever seen. And for me, it's just my biggest mistake that's been amplified to the point of it doesn't even need me in it anymore, which is mad. And it's become so much bigger, and it has become a brush to be Chelsea fans with, and that's not something that I'm proud of.
And for a lot of people who they want to be a YouTuber or they want to be famous, there's one part of being famous now for a lot of people, if they're not careful, and it's a quicker way to be famous, is to get something that goes viral. But sometimes these things cannot go, you know, I know that wasn't your intention, of course, in any way or shape or form. What does it feel like being in something that is just, you can't grab back, you can't pull back?
It's horrible. It's truly disgusting. Like, you know, I was engaged, I think it was at the time. Maybe I was just about to get married, but I was also still working in the restaurant. Does it feel like that? I mean, I'm guessing that it just feels like something's running away from you. Yeah, you just can't stop it. Yeah. You've just got no control over that facet of your life. And the worst thing is, it's all your family. You know, everybody goes on Facebook. My mum's on Facebook, my dad's on Facebook, my brothers, my cousins, my kids will be. And it's always going to be there. And that's, true. That's fucking terrible. One thing I would say is that, and obviously it's so much more personal to you, personally, from someone not near it at all, I literally don't. The only time I've thought about it was once when I think I'd first started and it came up in conversation with someone else, and someone said, oh, did you know that this had happened to Chris? And I was like, oh, and I was showing it once. And then before we started here and started chatting about it. So I think sometimes as well, but when it's so big and it's hit you so hard, you can't step away from it. No, maybe you're right. Because I don't think that doesn't define you in my eyes in any way, shape, or form. You're not a Liverpool fan, so the last time it cropped up was when Alisson decided to not go to Chelsea, And then all of a
really?
sudden there's memes every single time this happens.
Oh, wow.
There's memes of why Alisson hasn't gone to Chelsea, and you'll be able to throw them in this video.
There's also been a clear, I think, a clear integrity to what you've tried to create in Redmen, in how you, and maybe part of that comes from that moment and how you learn from that kind of, that's such a shitty moment. But seeing how football fan channels are, or some football fan channels are, has that been difficult to see, to stick with the idea that you want to always portray Liverpool in the best light?
No, because it's not like a fucking mantra that we always want to portray Liverpool in the best light. It's how we are as fans. You know, if we've got something bad to say, we'll say it. You know, we're never going to hide away from our feelings. We're always going to be truthful. It's just, and I think it infuriates some Liverpool fans that we don't. But that's not us. We'd just be lying, and we'd just
When you
be
say
fake.
us, do you mean you and Paul?
Me and Paul,
Yeah.
yeah. We're very, very similar in the way that we look at things. Like, I get wound up about the stupidest little things, but when it's football, I see the bigger picture. I don't know why. You know what I mean? I get annoyed about, like...
Do you think it's because you're here now? You're stuck. You're not going anywhere, so you might as well calm down.
No, it's just that I think a lot of the time is like our viewers, I'd say a majority are 17 to 25. No disrespect to any of them, but I'm 35, I've seen a lot of football, and I've seen it when it's been really shit.
Yeah.
And it's not really shit. You know, we were marching. Redmen TV marched against the owners of Liverpool Football Club, Hicks and Gillette. I was in the Dear Mr. Hicks video. It was a YouTube video produced specifically as like an open letter to him. It's called Dear Mr. Hicks. I'm in that video. Paul's in that video. So it's not that we won't do this.
Right.
It's just we'll do it when we think it's right, and no one can tell us our opinions, and we won't lie about them either.
Fan channels, there's a bit of a dirty word with them sometimes. People go, there's a certain picture of it, that it's people screaming and shouting and getting angry at each other and calling for the manager and all this stuff. Does that frustrate you that there's the growth of those channels sometimes can be so electric because of the drama of it? And YouTube, we've seen that on a wider level.
Listen,
drama works on YouTube.
Yeah, I think, listen, there's a professional jealousy, of course there is, because we want to grow. We want to get bigger, and we want to get better at what we do. And, you know, a lot of that comes down to the amount of subscribers that we're able to have and the amount of people watching our videos. We're never going to sell out to do that. And I don't think that, listen, cards on the table, I think when people say fan channels are ranting, I think everybody knows that we're talking about Arsenal Fan TV. So I think it's best to just be open and upfront.
Yeah, sure.
I respect Robbie.
Yes,
I've
so
worked
do
with
I.
Robbie for a long time, and Tao, and, you know, all the people who work behind that. They are fucking hard-working people, and they're not faking it either. That's the other thing.
That is true. That is true. I've never... The work rate of those two it's exhausting to watch.
Yeah.
Let alone just...
I've got so much respect, and they've helped us out. You know,
Yeah.
we've had conversations, and they might have taken ideas from us, and we've helped them out, and they've helped us out in process of how to get videos out so fast and stuff like that. Theirs isn't a fake channel. They're not doing it for views. They are doing it for the love of their club as well. It's just that we differ on our opinions.
Do you think part of that is the fortunes of the club as well?
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
it's defined by that. I think, you know, had Redmen TV had the subscribers we've got now and been going through the Hicks and Gillette, I'm pretty certain we'd be huge as well. That's just not the way. You can't, like, I was frustrated under the 6 months of Roy Hodgson. Imagine being that frustrated for 20 years or 10, 12 years of Arsene Wenger and what that would do. You saw how emotional I got after the Chelsea game. That was 90 minutes. You know, imagine seeing the same shit replayed over and over in front of your eyes for 12 years.
Yeah.
And then think of how those people are and why they are the way that they are. I don't agree with that. I don't think I'd be like that. But fuck me, they're not faking, and that's that great respect to them for that.
I guess it's easy to throw stones, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
something else when you're not in it yourself. You haven't got
Exactly.
those decisions to make. There are people that, you know, the people that enjoy watching that, and so what do you just go, no, because it's not the opinion that I have.
Yeah, I think that's right, isn't it? And let's be honest, Robbie was going to the games home and away well before Arsenal Fan TV, and I think there's a level of respect there as well that comes with it. You know, he was there supporting the club. DT was there supporting the club. Troops was there supporting the club. I've met them all. They all seem okay. They've all been sound with me. You know what I mean? Robbie and Tower built up a friendship with and consider them friends. And I know that they're not faking it, but they maybe do portray Arsenal in a light that's bad, but maybe they don't see it because they truly believe in what they're saying in the same way that I believe in what I say and the way that you believe in what you say.
And that's such a difficult decision to make in terms of censoring that. Do you go when and
you don't? That's the point.
Yeah,
they don't, and that's to be applauded as well. You know,
just because it's not what people want to. Not it's not the good PR spin though, is it? That's the thing.
But
whereas I think there's been decisions that you've made where you've gone, this isn't gonna feel right, and so you've said
absolutely,
no.
Yeah, and like you know,
but that's just a person by person thing. Right?
Yeah, that's it. And listen, just to keep it on the Arsenal Fan TV stuff a little bit longer, everybody knows about the rant videos, but their channel isn't just rant videos. No. If you look at Arsenal Fan TV on a day-by-day basis, there's fucking 700 news videos, there's podcasts, there's preview games, there's all kinds of stuff, and there's loads of positive stuff. You know, Ty's been on that channel for years, singing Wenger's praises. It's an unpopular opinion, and it doesn't gain the views that the rants do, but it's there. All they're doing is pointing a camera at fans and fans are talking. That's all there is to it. And we've done exactly the same. Now, we've actually moved away from fan cams. We haven't done fan cams all last season. We changed it to a free-for-all because we felt that eventually, even though it was good times last season, something might change within the football club, and we didn't want to be known for fan cams. We wanted to be known for the work that we put in to build an all-round channel. So we now do one video with all the fans where they talk, and we don't break it down because we're not hunting views in the same way. You know, we don't want to put out 11 videos. We'll put one video out with everybody's views in. And no one can accuse us of chasing views, because I think that's another thing that you get to when you get to our stage, is that people think we're trying to make money out of them. And we're trying to make money. Of course we're trying to make money. We're trying to make money so that we can feed our families and put food on the table and live comfortably and all that type of stuff. But we're not just going to sell our souls. And I'm not accusing Arsenal Fan TV of selling our souls, or any fan channel of selling their soul. I'm saying Redmen TV aren't selling their souls.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Actually, last two questions, but there's one I want to ask everyone. What keeps you up at night?
Oh, all kinds of shit, mate. Probably, that's a fucking hard question. More than anything, it's probably like how I'm perceived more than anything, because, and it probably comes back to this Rent Boys stuff, is that people think that they know what type of a person I am because they've seen me have a rant on a camera. And I think if you asked anybody this, they'd probably say the same question. I'm afraid of being pigeonholed into a certain thing, and I think you kind of mentioned it earlier on during the chat about this complexity that everybody has. Now, you know, people see me ranting on that video and think he's just a fucking tit who swears his head off. But I think if you were to watch some of our other content, you'd realise there's a bit more of this tit than meets the eye. I'm still a tit.
This tit.
There's loads of this tit. This one's slightly smaller. But I think, you know, and I don't particularly like any types of social media apart from Instagram. I think Instagram's the thing that nobody posts bad shit. Nobody posts pictures of horrible shit. So I like Instagram. I hate the fact that people talk about you on Twitter. I hate the fact that people talk about you on Facebook. I hate the fact that people call you a prick in the comments sections. And it's them that probably keep me awake more than anything, is because...
Really? I find that interesting. I would have thought... So I remember when I first started presenting and doing stuff, and this was well before YouTube, and I was kind of just having a weird time in my head. And I went and I spoke to this... my mum said, go talk to this woman. So I went and spoke to this woman, and she was talking about different things, and she's saying, I worry about this, and I worry about what people think about this and that. And then she's got a bit of paper, and she drew a circle, And then she drew another circle. She said, that is your inner circle. Who's in it? And I was like, she went, who's in it? I don't know, my dad, my mum, my girlfriend, sisters. Okay. Anyone else? I don't know, my best mate. And then, okay, so that's your inner circle. Everyone else, to a point, is absolutely irrelevant. Good point. If you can see it that way. And at the time I was working doing a load of red carpets, and I was really struggling with the idea of being a part of this machine of celebrity where you're on a red carpet and you want Tom Cruise to come to you so you can ask him 2 questions. But then TOWIE people walk along and the PR people go, do you want to talk to the TOWIE line? Like, absolutely not. And I hated that whole so this person's valued but this person isn't valued. But then these TOWIE people, you could see that their whole value of themselves was based on the outer circle, based on what people were saying on Twitter, on how many followers they had and all those things, and not that safe inner circle that they had. So that was, I remember thinking that was, from then on, I've always been okay with it. And I would have thought, it was such a strong family, such a strong best mate in Paul, such a great family life that you've got as well. I'm surprised that you have those thoughts.
Yeah, because I think it comes down to the family and stuff, but our lives are being portrayed on the internet now, and it's never going to go away. And are my family, my daughters, going to be proud of me when they see some of the shit that I do? You know,
I think they'll be fine, mate.
But maybe they would be. But I don't know. I don't know what it is, mate. Maybe it just comes down to I want everybody to like me.
Yeah. I definitely have
maybe
that
it's
as well.
just as simple as that, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, you can be misconstrued on points, and you end up fucking commenting back at people, and it's like, what am I gaining out of this? But I can't put it down.
Yeah.
It's always been the negative stuff that drives me. It's always, and whenever I've failed at anything, that's what I've used to fuel the next bit. And maybe it comes down to that. Maybe that's how I fuel myself through life. Is I could read 200 comments that are really good about me. Couldn't tell you one of them.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that fucking bad one that thinks I'm a mess.
It's like life's okay. What? Why? Why would you say that?
I need to do better. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's just the driving factor for me.
So, final thing, this whole journey for you, and also the journey before that, because you had a life before all of this as well. What are the biggest principles in your life that you live by? Back
yourself. No one else is going to. That's the first and foremost, and I think that's what we took into Redmen TV. I say, we took a loan out, we backed ourselves. I think. We're talking on the eve of Geraint Thomas winning the Tour de France, and he said exactly the same thing. Always just work hard, do your best that you can do, and see where it takes you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. Obviously, I want to be a good father, I want to be a good husband, and I want to have a successful business. And I think to achieve all of that, you do have to work hard at everything, and you have to cut off areas of your life from different things. Now, I learned a long time ago that, posting my kids' pictures on Facebook is not something that I want to do, because I've got people who I'm friends with on Facebook that I don't know and I can't trust. So I've got that inner circle of people that I do trust, and they like me, hopefully. That's it, really. Just work hard, man. Trust yourself.
That's a decent principle to end on. Thanks for chatting to me, mate.
No problem.
Look, if by any way that you're on this channel and you don't know what the Redmen TV is, then head over there. It's a great channel, it really is. And Chris and Paul have worked so hard, and I'm happy to call them friends. Very, very happy to call them friends. So go over and check them out. Let me know who else you want me to chat to in the process, this new series. Check out the Smith interview that I've done as well. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you soon.
At the start, I was like, I hope none of my mates see me doing this. Capture the footage, get it. At the start, it was very raw. There's always been pressure for me to change the Palmer's format, and it probably will be changing soon. It's nothing to do with money. It's nothing to do with trying to get more views. In fact, it's probably going to get less views because I'm going to be producing less.